Get there. All right, it is 7:15. We're going to go ahead and get started. Guys, thank you so much and welcome to the final panel of AetherCon 2024. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to be talking a little bit today. I just want to say I am grateful for having this time slot in particular. This is the last panel before we move into closing ceremonies. And what's interesting about that is that this panel is really about leveling up your life. This is using Final Fantasy XIV skills in real life. And again, if you're just tuning in, we are on the Crystal Data Center, Marlborough, Mists, Ward 29, Plot 32. So you can come down, hang out with us. It's a super good time. So first off, let's go ahead and jump right in. How are we going to use our skills? But I have a question for you guys, because I bet some of you have heard this. Were you told growing up that your gaming was not going to get you anywhere and was a waste of time? Anybody else had that? Because I know I have. Or I bet many of you have heard, or at least something similar to it. But now I have a different question for you guys. But what if all of your gaming hours have actually been honing mastery of important life skills and you didn't even realize it? I want to help you guys think about this differently, because the main question I want to help with you guys today: do gaming skills matter in the real world? In this presentation, I want to answer this question for you and show you how your Final Fantasy XIV skills help you in real life. So who am I? I am Daniel, aka Dragonmore. And to give you kind of a little bit of background, I am coming from a Fortune 500 company, and now I'm a leadership coach. So I've since left that. I actually lived in Japan for 2 years. That was actually a lot of fun. Oh, one of my pictures didn't work. That's unfortunate. Huh. Weird. Okay. We just move on. But yeah, so being a leadership coach and just really helping with personal development now, especially for gamers like yourself. And definitely have had a lot of fun with kind of the Japanese influence and working over there and living over there. But who is my character? So Dragonmore. Who is Dragonmore? So Dragonmore, my little character here, little cat girl. Been around since ARR and really even 1.0 briefly, like before I realized it was not good at the time. I know it got better after Yoshi P, but I didn't play that time. So I came back for ARR, taking breaks here in sense, but been around since a while. So this is kind of the progression of my character. I've been a raid leader this game and others, as well as kind of an amateur content creator. So I don't know if some of you might recognize the character. Actually submitted for the Machinima contest, and so grateful I actually won first prize in the Machinima contest this year. That is super cool, super fun. Dragonmore Chronicles, check it out. Shameless plug, here we go. But yeah, so grateful for that. But this is about you guys. This is about today. Here's what you're going to walk away with today. So you're going to learn what it means to transfer these Final Fantasy XIV skills in real life. We're going to be talking about the top 4 transferable skills you have, and we're going to show you how to apply those in your real life. Now, I obviously can't solve every problem you have in just the 45 minutes we have here today. But what I am going to do is I'm going to set you up so that you know and you have a choice about how to move forward to unlock these gaming skills that you have. So, and I love that we already have some participation in chat, so I do encourage audience participation, and hopefully we'll still have some time left over for Q&A at the end as well. So question for you guys: why do we play games? So let me know in the chat, why do we play games? I'm just curious your thoughts. Give it a few seconds. Fun, escape, relax, escapism. Yes. To cry at the story, I love that. Escape for fun. And you know what? All of those are correct. I think my favorite is because they're fun. You guys are absolutely right. Games are fun. This is why we play games. I feel like fun is mandatory. It's really fun mandatory when it comes to games, right? And the interesting thing is, I feel like that's just half the answer, though. Now, don't get me wrong, games are fun, and I love games because they are fun. But I feel like it's an incomplete answer. Because why? Why are games fun? Because we all like different games because of the way they are fun, right? We all play 14 differently because there's different aspects of the game that are fun. So why are games fun for you? So I remember when I was asked this question, and it really took me a while to think about it because you really have to kind of dive in and think about it. It took me days, even weeks, to come to the answer. And the answer for me was my grandfather. And you're like, but grandfather, there weren't video games around when he was growing up. I was like, yeah. But let me tell you a story. My grandfather was actually a politician, and he was one of the good ones. And when I was about 9, that's when I started realizing that what he was doing was really impactful, and he had a lot of success and was like really changing the world. Like just coming to barely understanding this as a 9-year-old. And I thought, how can I be like him? He wielded so much influence and power, and I was like, this is really cool. And my 9-year-old brain's like, I wish I could do that. And that's actually when I discovered gaming. Like I played a little bit before that, but it really started to hone in at this point because I use games for a sense of achievement. So for me, the fun was because I had this sense of achievement in games. That's how I got to understand what achievement was growing up. And I bet it is for a lot of you too. Because a lot of games, it's all about this kind of, take and put and actually putting in the skill, putting in the hours and actually getting an outcome that makes you really feel really good. So it was all around this time, again, when I was 9, so to date myself. I was playing this little game on the Super Nintendo called Final Fantasy II, which I know is Final Fantasy IV in the Japanese name. I didn't know that at the time. For me, it was called Final Fantasy II. And what was interesting is that the games understood how achievement worked. They continually rewarded you as you accomplish more. And for RPGs like Final Fantasy that have continued through the series, it's about saving the world. And what bigger accomplishment could you have as a 9-year-old than saving the world? This is where I got drawn into gaming, especially RPGs. And if your favorite games, Final Fantasy, especially Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, Legend of Zelda, all of these kind of games, if you love those games, I know we'll be fast friends. That's how I know. So really, I share all that to tell you games are not just escapism, right? They are fun, but they're not just for escapism. That's really why I believe games offer more than just entertainment or escapism. They give us a sense of hope, a sense of discovery, a sense of accomplishment, because that's what I learned. And more recently, I discovered that they can help with real-world skills. So with that, Final Fantasy XIV skills in real life. What do you mean, Daniel? What do you mean that I can use Final Fantasy XIV skills in real life? So let's get into it. Are you saying that I can do a limit break in real life? Can I channel lightning from the ground, generate a sword out of nothingness to smite my enemies? Unfortunately, no. That is not what I'm saying. I am not saying that you can do that in real life. If I ever figure that out, I'll do a panel on that. Mark my words. What I am telling you is that Final Fantasy XIV teaches you as the player special skills that you can utilize in other aspects of your life. The problem is that we've been conditioned to think the opposite. Now, there is good marketing, sometimes, about gaming and how it brings us together. I think Nintendo does probably the best job as far as trying to share this family camaraderie to say, like, we can play games together. Unfortunately, reality is usually very different. Usually we get things like this. It's, how are you still playing that game? Why are you still playing that? When are you going to do something? When are you going to get a job? When are you going to graduate? You spend way too much time on that. So we've been conditioned that our time spent gaming is bad. But what is weird and interesting to me is that it doesn't make sense. Because one of the things that pisses me off about society is, why is it okay to binge Netflix? You could watch 10 episodes of a show, so waste 10 hours, but somehow gaming's a waste of time? Because gaming is teaching you vital skills that most people don't even realize. So I'm curious if you guys have thoughts, inklings as far as what you think that you can learn from gaming. So this audience participation, let me know in the chat, what skills do you think that you as a player are learning that you can take in the real world? I am very curious. Let's see. Hand-eye coordination, communication, reaction time, problem solving. How not to scream at the healer. I love that one. So yeah, how not to scream at people. That might be a thing. Tactics, spatial awareness, socialization. Yes. You guys are hitting them all. I love this. This is fantastic. So you're like, okay, I love it. I love it, Daniel. This is awesome. Tell me more. I'm excited. What are these skills? So without further ado, these are the top 4 transferable skills for Final Fantasy XIV. These are skills that are in a specific order. These are in order of likelihood that you have them. Not necessarily most important, because what's important depends on what job you have, what you're doing, your position. So different skills are useful in different regards, but because you play Final Fantasy XIV, the most transferable skills you have into school workplace settings are problem solving, resilience, teamwork, and leadership. So I'm going to go through these. So number 1, our main scenario, we're going to go through each of these 4. Problem solving. This is a business definition. I worked in corporate for 15 years. Your business definition of problem solving is the ability to analyze challenges, identify solutions, and implement effective strategies to overcome obstacles. That's jargon. But what is problem solving? It's just solving problems. It's getting past the challenges to actually get the outcome you want. And we have tons of problem solving in Final Fantasy XIV. So Final Fantasy XIV, we have challenging puzzles, strategic battles, complex situations, right? We have, extremes, savages, right? And this leads to this creative problem solving, which we have like on the left, like the Hector lecture guides, if you're familiar with those. And just to solve these raid problems, right? Crafting is its own puzzle, right? Just be able to use the right abilities in the right order to get the outcome that you want. And there's also this additional problem solving of having all the ingredients that you need to actually make the thing that you want. And then on the right is the deep dungeons, which is a whole different thing to me, that you have to be able to adapt, change, and know all the strategies to be able to succeed in those kind of things. But you can use the same probleming skills in real life. Let me give you a quick example. There is a game called Fold It. For those that don't know, this is a puzzle-solving game for science. This is actually created by scientists, I believe at the University of Washington. And what's really interesting is that Fold It is a protein folding simulator, I guess you could call it. Fold It attempts to predict the structure of proteins, taking advantage of human puzzle-solving and intuitions, having people play competitively to fold the best proteins. So this is a screenshot from inside of Fold It, and they're trying to fold the proteins to combat specific viruses. So this is an AIDS-like virus problem that they had that scientists were stumped for 15 years. So this will be many years ago at this point when they started this. But so they took this problem that they were trying to make this AIDS medication for AIDS victims, and they put it into this game, Fold It. And I'll let you guys guess. So they took this 15-year problem and they put it into this game, and gamers solved it. How long did it take? Just as a guess. It spent 15 years. What did it take? I bet some of you know the answer. 15 years. Yep. The gamer solved it in 10 days. That is all it took. As my Japanese friends would say. It only took 10 days to solve this 15-year problem. This is the power of gamer problem solving, right? They put it in this game, so there is an argument for this gamification, which is a whole nother kind of thing we could talk about. But the real takeaway here, and they actually interviewed the guys that actually did it, they were gamers, right? These were people that enjoyed video games, and they solved it in 10 days. So as gamers, we are the best problem solvers on the planet because we do it for fun. Problem solving is just any other skill. but because we as gamers do it constantly, we are exceptional at it. So this is one of the things I want you to take with you, is that gaming gives us problem solving as our superpower. And the funny thing is that it doesn't feel like a superpower, right? It doesn't feel like I can just fly through the air. It doesn't quite feel like that. To us, it's normal. And that's what's weird, is that superpowers to superheroes, I guess, it's just normal. It's just, I can do this. Okay. But let me tell you one thing. Not everyone can, but you can. You can solve problems because you're a gamer. And just to kind of anchor this in, I'm going to give you some examples of people in real life that have played Final Fantasy XIV that are taking their gaming, taking their problem solving, and putting it into their careers and their personal lives. I had a friend I worked with that was a mechanical engineer at the company I worked with, and he was obsessed with his DPS rotation. And he played a black mage, which has a very wide DPS range for those that know. And he would work on it, and he would do amazing damage. But then at work, he would take these same skills, this just kind of refined improvement. It works really great for an engineer because his design constraints around making the best products possible. He was an exceptional mechanical engineer as a result, and people loved him for it. And it's like, yeah, because he did that in the game, and then he just brought it into the rest of the world. I also had a friend who applied crafting and market board strategies, right? Just the kind of buy low, sell high, but crafting the right items, and just uses this to do price shopping and finding sales and the best goods deals around town and on the internet, right? It's just, you can learn how to buy and sell on the market board, and you can just do it in real life. It's that easy. And I bet you yourself have had these kind of experiences around problem solving. Because have you ever been frustrated when you're waiting for someone to understand, or maybe you call tech support and you're trying to have them fix something, and you understand the problem is, you figured it out in the first 2 seconds, but you're waiting for them to catch up. It's not that they're stupid. That's not it. The thing is, they haven't developed the same problem solving skills you have. They don't have that same connection, that same neural pathways in your brain that you've been honing for years, if not decades. You're amazing problem solvers. And to help you apply this to real life, I'm going to give you what I call the gamer's problem solving framework. So the first list here is just a list of other things that you can use problem solving for in real life. But the main 3 points I want you to understand is that you can identify the challenge. And by that, we want to take a past challenge that you've had in-game, whether it was a raid, puzzle, dungeon, whatever it was. Think of something that you had to do that was hard, that you had to problem solve. And I want you to break down a strategy. What did you actually do, right? And it helps if you even write it down. That's even better. But remember the steps that you took to overcome. And then now we're going to utilize this in your real life. So you're going to reflect on the approach and the methods. And I want you to scale it out beyond Final Fantasy. Instead of just, I use this ability, I use this thing, just think of like the actual skills that you use as like a higher level. What did you do? And reflect on that approach. And what real world situations could you apply those same things to and have it work? This is what I want you to understand, is that you can do this. You can do this in real life. So what is your takeaway so far? Is this landing for you guys? I'd love more gamers to understand and realize their problem-solving potential. It is amazing that you can solve 15-year problems in 10 days. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so the second is resilience. And resilience is simply the ability to quickly adapt, recover, overcome from setbacks, maintain high performance standards in the face of disruptions. What does that mean? It just means when you get knocked down, you get up again. They're never going to keep... Anyway, we'll move on. So learning from failure in Final Fantasy XIV. Failure in Final Fantasy XIV is inevitable. Whether you're doing raids, whether you're doing quests, dungeons, leveling, doesn't matter. You're going to fail. You're going to fail multiple times, and you probably have many times. But what I love about gaming in Final Fantasy is that you don't really ever truly fail. Like, it'll say duty failed, but you can just do it again, and you can do it again, and you can get better, and you can complete it. So I like to say either you win or you learn. You never truly lose. Because whether you're trying to farm that mount and maybe you couldn't do all the extremes, get your meta mount. You come back to the expansion later, and sure, maybe it's easier, but you went back and you did it. You never truly failed. It just took you longer to get it. Now, to understand what I mean, like, failure is just so weird to me in games versus real life, because let me give you a question. Who can tell me, I'm very curious to know, make up numbers if you want, but I bet, who can tell me the exact total number of times that your character has died, wiped, flat unconscious, ever playing this game, cumulatively? Now, if you just made a new character to join us here today, doesn't count. Think of your main. How many times has your character wiped? I like it. Hundreds? Exactly? Impossible. I like it. Absolutely not. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. Because I don't know either. Because we play Final Fantasy to win, to achieve, to accomplish. We don't care about the failures. We don't keep track of those. And maybe Yoshi P does, but let's hope he never tells us. But no, we don't keep track of these failures, because failure doesn't matter. It's what we achieve. So repeatedly overcoming and facing these challenges builds resilience. We could sit and fire for hours and it wouldn't bother us. We will find a way to win. So an interesting real-world example for you guys. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, and he took more than 10,000 tries to figure it out. Imagine if he gave up. We wouldn't have light bulbs. So journalists even asked him. They asked him about his failures. And he said, he's credited with saying, I haven't failed. I just found 10,000 ways that just simply don't work. And it's amazing the way he can reframe this. Because so many times in life, we look down on failure. And we see failure as a bad thing. But I'm here to say, we as gamers, we understand that it's not. Failure is not bad. In fact, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the path to success. Because embracing failure in games gives us this growth mindset. And failure is not the end. It's just simply part of the journey, right? How many times did you fail? How many times did you wipe doing your extreme or savage or especially ultimate clears? But in real life, learning from mistakes, we seem to think it's different, but it's not. It's about this personal growth that we take from failure. We inherently know this in gaming. Why can't we get this in real life? And the answer is you can. So to give you some examples for real life, for resilience, learning from failure, I have a friend of mine who's a retail manager, actually quit that, became a higher paid salesman position because of gaming. He actually gets paid more in the sales position, and sales is rough because a lot of people say no. So there's a lot of failure with sales. You're not going to close and sell every single person. You have to be okay with failure. But as a gamer, he just thrived in it. And he made a lot of money in sales, so good for him. I actually had a client of mine that got laid off. So working with this guy, and he just got laid off of his job. There's just budget cuts, downsizing. But he didn't just kind of sit around. He wasn't just, hard on himself because, oh darn, like I got laid off, this sucks. And he didn't sit in the failure. He went out and got another job and like just pushed it, worked hard, just used that resilience. And he even got promoted within that same job within a few months and actually ended up making more than he did at his previous job. So good for him. So what I want to tell you is that you can build confidence through these smaller goals. Because in life, we set too high of targets, I feel. You could set a target, I bet a lot of us have, of saying, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. But then it doesn't happen. At least not quickly. And then we get discouraged. But you know what? We can learn from Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV can solve this problem. You set smaller, achievable goals. The Final Fantasy XIV example is that when you started playing Final Fantasy XIV, my guess is that the main scenario quest thing did not actually say, defeat Ultima Weapon. Didn't say that, did it? That's your level 50 quest for ARR. Didn't say that. What did it say? It said, talk to a dude. Okay. So you had many small quests along the way. So it's kind of weird that we're like, I'm going to set this huge unachievable goal. Maybe it could be achievable, but you had to do a lot of steps to get there. It's the same thing in games. Games understand this. This is how games are developed. This is how we understand them. You complete the small little things along the way, and eventually you get to level 50, and it's like, all right, defeat ultimate weapon. You're like, well, I'm ready now. Perfect. So if we had all the small quests along the way, we could do this in life too. So I like to say set small goals, because this helps build your confidence in the real world. We understand this in games. This is how we bring it into the real world. So for resilience, your framework is think about a challenge that you overcame in Final Fantasy XIV, and I want you to recall the initial reactions that you had. The first, like when you first were doing extremes or savages especially, the way you balked at it, you're like, whoa, that's difficult. That's a lot. I don't know if I want to do that. But now take a current challenge that you have at work, at life, at home, and think of it the same way, because when you first cleared the ultimate, the savage, the extreme, whatever it is, you had that sense of just accomplishment of like, yes, I did this. But remember, it was scary at the beginning. So just reframe that for what you're doing now. It's hard. It's crazy. It's scary. But that's how it was in the game too. And you can achieve that too. So then you visualize the success. So, and there is actually science that backs this up that says that if you visualize it, it really helps you to make it like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It'll come true. Because if you can visualize it happen, your mind actually, interesting thing, neurologically, that's the word. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. Which is a little scary to think about, but at the same time, is that if you visualize success, your brain's like, this is how we succeed. And so when it comes time to do the thing, you just succeed. It's just easy because your mind thinks, oh, we've done this before. Next one up is teamwork, which very simple, right? It's just when we're a group of individuals working together toward a common collective goal and trying to achieve it in an efficient manner. So how does teamwork work in Final Fantasy XIV? Got a lot of teamwork here, right? Final Fantasy XIV, heavily on raid content, group content, dungeons, trials, the like. And success in-game requires this level of coordination and trust that everybody has to understand their roles and do them properly. Because when people don't do what they're supposed to do, right, that's when people get mad at people, right? It's like, oh, the tank faced it into the group and we all got hit by the AoE and we all died. Yeah, the DPS didn't move out of fire. Like, the healers didn't heal. Like, it's very simple things, but it's just kind of inherently built into the teamwork in the Final Fantasy XIV. And of course, teamwork created the very game you're playing now. We use teamwork all the time in companies. Yoshi P has a team, and he does very well with this game. So examples of people excelling in real life. Love some of these examples. So these are actually some people I raid with, so not surprising, right? Teamwork. A friend of mine that I raid with is a teacher, and is one of the fastest rezzers I know. She's developed this awareness of fights and what's going on that before your body even fully hits the floor, you've already been rezzed and you're back up. She is insane. And she uses this ability, this kind of awareness and just understanding what's going on, her situational awareness, as some of us have said, in school settings and coordinating with other teachers to make sure they can manage the students properly. Also had a friend of mine that I raid with who's a manager at a big company. And he learned that he liked tanking because he liked being this kind of the shield, the protector of the group. And actually pulled this into the company where he actually has stood up to his bosses and stood up for his employees when they were mistreated. He took that from Final Fantasy into the workplace. So kudos to him for sure. So how do we play the gaming teamwork framework? Well, first you got to define your strengths and your role. So the goal here is really to identify your unique contributions and how they should be applied to a workplace setting. Number 2 is setting your personal goals. This is really the goal here, funny, is to just define a clear objective that aligns with your strengths, your interests. And then the communication strategy here, this one is about enhancing your communication skills, really by analyzing the past, right? What you've done before, and identifying those growth areas for the future. Leadership. So the last of the 4 transferable skills, leadership is the ability to inspire and guide a group toward a single goal. Now, what's interesting about this one is that leadership in Final Fantasy XIV is just really, being a raid leader, being a group leader, just being somebody that helps out, right? Whether it's leading or managing a free company, coordinating roles and strategy in a raid. You have to understand leadership if you're doing this difficult content. And mentors, if working as intended, are there to teach new players. And what is leadership outside of Final Fantasy XIV? It's managing teams. It's inspiring and motivating colleagues. It's delegating tasks to be smooth, and it's helping new employees find their place in the company. Sounds a lot like what leaders do in Final Fantasy XIV, doesn't it? So, okay. So what can we learn from leadership in Final Fantasy XIV as far as real-world examples? And for this one, I have a personal one that I want to share with you. While I was at my corporate job, there was one, I did the thing that you were supposed to do. I was like, I guess I've been here a few years. I'm going to go ask for a raise, right? Ask for a promotion. I'm supposed to move up the corporate ladder. That's what you're supposed to do, right? So I went and I asked. And you know what? The reply I got back was, no, we just don't see your leadership potential. And I was crushed. I was like, what? I'm not, okay. I guess I'm not a leader. Well, that was just disheartening. I was like, I can't believe, so I have to develop these business leadership skills. I don't know what they're talking about. This is kind of weird and crazy. So I would go home and I would just sit there frustrated, like, I don't know how to get promoted because I don't know how to be a leader. This is also, again, to date it back a little bit, it's been a while at this point. So this is before A Realm Reborn. So I was playing Star Wars The Old Republic at the time, for those that remember that game. Still around, I guess. But I played Star Wars The Old Republic. And we did the hardest content in the game. For those that ever played Star Wars The Old Republic, that is a while back. We did Nightmare, which is the equivalent of Savage, I guess. And we did Denova, for anybody that remembers that raid, where there's this guy called Nightmare Kepis. And guess what? We were able to beat him. Because I was a raid leader. I didn't have business leadership, but I was a raid leader. And in fact, our group here, we were actually server second, right? So for the whole world, for this particular server, we were server second on this. And I was like, holy crap. And we didn't do it by raiding every night. We were like a casual group. We raided like barely 2 nights a week for like a few hours. But because we dialed it in, we had a great group of people that actually like knew their stuff. And I was helping raid lead to like get people. So it wasn't, this is back when like, a lot of raid leaders at the time and some even now, if you fail, it's just like, do better. But that's not what I did. I was like, okay, what's happening? Tell me what you're getting killed from. How can we avoid it? What can we do? And we worked through it. And we were by far not the best group, but we were clean. And we did it because we understood what we needed to do. And it even surprised me that they're like, hey guys, you did it. You're server second. And we're like, okay, cool. And then it finally clicked on me. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not a leader, but I'm a raid leader. I'll use that. Because it turns out it's the same set of skills. As soon as I realized that being a raid leader is the same as being a leader, I started using those skills in the workplace. And you know what? I got over a 30% raise at work and a promotion in less than 3 months after I started using these skills in the workplace. And that's all it really took. And people recognized it. They're like, holy crap, you've developed these leadership skills so quick. Like, what courses did you do? What, program did you do? Because they expected I'm going to these like business leadership schools or something. I'm like, none. I played games. It's all thanks to gaming that I learned how to be a leader in the workplace. So, huge thanks to gaming. Whether it was Star Wars, whether it's Final Fantasy XIV, you learn from gaming. So for those that wanted to know how to apply the leadership framework really quickly, this is all about recognizing your skills, because this is what it took me. It's saying that, hey, you are doing these things now. Think about how you're doing them in the game. Reflect on how you're doing leadership skills, whether it's communication, problem solving, teamwork, decision making. There's so much that you could be doing. There's so much you are doing. Just recognize that. And then the real magic is transferring into real life. So imagine that you've identified now these skills that say, like, I'm a leader, this is what I'm doing. And just, again, visualize that into real life and say, like, what if I were to apply these skills at the workplace, at school, job, career, whatever you're doing. And then this is where you also need to take a little bit of extra step to demonstrate leadership. Because really it's about action. Because like I said, visualizing gets you a lot of the way there and gets you the confidence to go. But to really go, you need to demonstrate it. So start volunteering for these, for whatever it is, team projects, leading meetings, proposing these new ideas. You will be surprised how good you are at it when you start doing it this way. I like to say number 4 is build a static in real life. It's like start collecting, the people that actually work well with you. It doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't have to be people you don't like. Build the people that you actually want to work with. Because like I said, this scrappy team that barely rated 2 nights a week ended up server second. We didn't have any of the overpowered classes at the time too. There were clearly everybody cleared it with Marauders, I think was the class, like the dual lightsaber guys. They're like, we didn't have any of those. We were still second. And the last thing here is that you should celebrate your achievements. This is something I think that gets overlooked a lot in life. But games do really well because games have it inherently built in, right? This is why games are addictive kind of thing, because things like gear drops, mounts, minions, we have these little rewards that we can get. But in life outside of the gaming, we have to create our own rewards. So this is what a key last point that I want to have here is that you really need to celebrate your achievements. You need to find what those things are that really motivate you. And it can be the smallest thing. It's we went out and we had pizza tonight because to celebrate. We had sushi. We had whatever it is. It could be just anything. But really celebrate. Anchor in that fact in your mind to say, this was a win today. How am I going to celebrate? You'll be surprised how much better your life can be when you just simply celebrate the little things. And with that, we've completed the main scenario portion of this presentation. So we've identified the 4 top transferable skills of problem solving, resilience, teamwork, and leadership. And really, whether it's you're playing in a group, clearing content, whether you're earning mounts, solving puzzles, leading others, your experiences in Final Fantasy XIV are valuable and can contribute to your success outside of the game. You have built these gaming skills. I know you have. So to answer a question that I asked you at the beginning, can your gaming skills help you outside of games? Can your gaming skills help you in real world skills? Do they matter? Do they matter in the real world? That was the question. So yes, the answer is yes. Your gaming skills do matter. I hope you can see that your gaming skills have made you this amazing force, especially as a problem solver. That's my favorite. And you can see that this has real future potential for you, right? Outside of Final Fantasy XIV, you have this potential. It is just amazing. And I can't say enough of it. I wish I could just sit each and every one of you down and just be like, how can we help you? How can I help you? Because this is amazing. You are amazing being a gamer, playing Final Fantasy XIV, because I know, because as a gamer, I've seen the potential of other gamers. I've seen what I can do, and I know you can do it too. Because your gaming skills can translate into real life skills. So I want to help you with that. And I want to help you with your decision as far as, do you want to unlock these gaming skills? So I have a little quiz, little assessment that can help you on your journey. And so I have a little side quest for you guys. So if you want to do this, is completely optional. Is I have a side quest. You can unlock your gaming skills, especially around your leadership potential, if you go to Dragonmore XP/quest. So this is a little, like I said, like a little assessment that you could do to see how you can pull your gaming skills out. Because, like I said, I do this for a living, and so this is just a little thing I just wanted to give you guys just to try out, just to see where you are. Because you guys are amazing at what you do, whether you realize it or not. So definitely check that out, dragonmorexp.com/quest. And with that, we're at the Q&A portion. So we have, like 4 minutes? So not a lot of time, but I can answer questions if you guys have any. What do you guys think? Any questions about anything? And thank you, Kyrie. Thank you for you're welcome, Snake. I hope this has helped. I hope this has helped gamers understand their potential outside of gaming. Especially, like I said, the problem solving has been my number one and has been like a huge thing for as long as I can think. And like I said, the personal experience with me with like the leadership stuff like was really cool. I know not everybody does like raid leading and stuff, but everybody does problem solving. That's awesome. Might show it to my coworker. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yes. Let's see. Question. Is there questions? Let me see. I'm checking both chats. Checking Twitch and I'm checking chat. Latte? Question. It was kind of curious to see the lack of emotional intelligence EQ on that list of skills. It is on, I say, it'd be on the longer list. This is, like I said, I tried to pick the top 4 transferable skills that you would have playing this game. And I'd say not, just being an MMO, you'd have a lot of interactions with people, but I guess you wouldn't necessarily have to. And if you're just doing like raid content, especially if you're doing like Party Finder even, or just like quick queuing and stuff, I feel like there's not a lot of interaction and those kind of things. So that's why like I don't think it'd be as high as some of the other ones for that kind of reason. But it definitely, if I could make a list of 10, it'd be on there. But it didn't make the top 4 in my opinion, I guess. Let's see. Off-topic questions. All right. Go ahead, Vakara. We'll see if we can get to some off-topic ones. People throwing questions. All right. Recipsal. Which skill is the most overlooked? Leadership? The most overlooked? That's a good question. I think, the most overlooked is probably the leadership, actually. That is a good point. To me, I think it really is the problem solving. Only in the sense that we do it so well that, how is it overlooked, I guess? It's overlooked, the one that's overlooked by ourselves as gamers is problem solving. Because like I said, it's the superpower that we don't realize we have. But if it's like overlooked in a business sense, I think it is the leadership. Because that's probably my personal experience, but that's the one that we don't take into the real world as easily or as quickly. Because I think problem solving, if you're good at problem solving in a game, it kind of naturally transforms, I think, or at least more easily into the real world. So I don't think that's as overlooked because you could probably do a lot more in the real world that you don't realize. But leadership, I think, is kind of a harder line to cross. So I think it's overlooked in that sense. Let's see. Given that games have a reputation for toxicity, how do you feel that EQ can be practiced? Okay. Oh, gosh. How can it be practiced? And I think that actually relates to some of the, maybe some of the other panels. How can EQ be practiced in Final Fantasy XIV? First off, it has to be interactions with players. And the one that came to mind really is role-playing. I think if you role play with people, you truly are like trying to really connect with them, and I think that has a lot more opportunity for practicing that EQ type soft skills. So if you want to practice EQ, that'd be my suggestion, is actually practicing, is get into the RP scene. Is there anywhere? All right, so looks like we got to wrap up here in a second. So last question: is there any more plans to make Dragonmore Chronicles? Okay. Oh yeah, the Machinima. And will Brock Baker still be Hildebrand and VA? How did that partnership start? All right. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to answer that in full. The short answer is, if you guys like it, if you guys want to support it, share it with your friends, comment on the video if it gets enough, if it gets enough traction, absolutely do more. I'd love to do more of that. Brock Baker is just kind of just a spur of the moment thing. I really worked through like how to who would be a good Hildebrand, and he really kind of floated the top of the list, and just it's kind of a wild aside of just simply was like reaching out to him. Like that was kind of the hardest and easiest thing was like I just kind of reached out and I was like, hey, would you like to do something cool? And he was like, yeah. So he was willing to do it. So would he do more? Maybe. And again, I think if it got enough traction. So that'd be really interesting. So yeah, I'd be absolutely curious and would love to have him do more of that. So guys, I think that is going to have to do it. We're kind of running over time. So last little thing. So contact. So if anybody wants to continue the conversation, and I think Skitty has the links for us too. So whether it's Linktree, Dragonmore, and you can email me directly, just daniel@dragonmorexp.com. Just drop me a line. And I'd just love to chat with you guys. So also have a separate Discord, Dragonmore Gaming Discord if you want to join. So that's @Dragonmore is my personal one. But the Linktree has the Discord server if you want to join. And 2 different YouTube channels that I've been kind of playing with. One, the gaming channel, which is where Dragonmore Chronicles is. And then Dragonmore XP is where was actually going to try to start doing more of this kind of gaming in real life kind of content. So guys, duty complete. We did it. Thank you for attending. I hope you understand why I'm so passionate about gaming and all the pure entertainment, value, joy, and even beyond your gaming skills and how it helps you. So guys, thank you so much. This has been awesome.